everyone. Today we're here to interview Marc, who is a member of staff and also a quarter-finalist on this year's Great British Bake Off. So Marc, how did you get into baking?
I got into baking 4 years ago after I lost my leg in an accident, and I used it as a form of therapy for anxiety and depression I was dealing with at the time.
Did anyone teach you?
No, complete self-taught by books and YouTube and the internet.
What was your first recipe, like the first thing you ever
The first thing I baked was bread. I made some bread rolls.
Favourite TV chef? Have you got any?
Favourite TV chef? Quite enjoy watching Paul Ainsworth, and he's a local guy, so I listen to him. So.
And what is your signature dish?
My signature? That's a tricky question. I suppose if you're going for a bake, it will be my sourdough loaf, white loaf.
I thought as much.
Yeah.
This is one we actually all thought of. Cooking and baking, do you know what the difference is?
Cooking and baking. Well, baking I suppose you define by putting it in the oven, and cooking, I suppose, you define that by making it on the stove.
Oh, okay. No, we sort of Googled it and thought it was all sciencey and stuff, so we kind of gave up in the end.
We have a very important question.
Right.
Do you say scone or scone?
I go for scone.
Okay, I say scone.
Do you? Okay.
And do you put the jam on first or the cream?
Neither, because I don't like cream.
Oh.
No. So mine's just butter and jam.
Oh, okay.
And it's probably butter first.
Have you got any kitchen disasters?
Kitchen disasters. No, I don't think I have actually. I mean, the worst one I had was on the Bake Off itself when I cooked myself with buttercream, and that was pretty disastrous.
We're going to move on to more questions that are sort of related to the Bake Off now. So what inspired you to go on the show? It
was my youngest daughter Rosie. She was the inspiration really. Cause she's been asking me for a few years to apply, and so I just to keep her quiet, I applied and kept getting through the audition processes, which is quite a few, and then eventually got on the show. So yeah, it's down to my daughter Rosie, not me.
Were you a fan of the show before you actually took part?
Yeah, I watch it every year. So I do enjoy it, and it's amazing to actually get on it.
It's a fun one.
What was the cover story you told your friends? Because you couldn't tell them you were going on the show.
What did I say to them? Well, I suppose because it was going through lockdown, I wasn't really seeing many of my friends anyway, so they didn't really know what was going on. So I really didn't have to say much to people. I just kept it quiet. And no one asked anyway, because I wasn't doing anything different. So.
Hardest challenge?
That was the first one, that David Bowie cake. That was by far
that.
It was horrendous.
And what was the bake you were most proud of?
Probably the white chocolate celebration cake.
Yes.
Because I changed that right at the very last minute, and I hadn't practiced it before. And it was just by pure luck that it all came together and actually worked. So I was really nervous starting that challenge, and I was quite proud when it came out.
How long did filming take? Because we only see like bits of it.
Yeah, no, filming takes ages. I mean, so when at the beginning of the show, when you've got 12 bakers in the tent, you're starting at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't get back to the hotel at 9:30 at night. And that's just like one day. So one episode takes 2 days to film.
Oh, wow.
And then you're back up the next morning starting at 6, and again you're back. So it's really, really long days.
Oh, sounds quite tiring.
Yeah.
Where did all the contestants stay?
It's a big hotel, like country house.
Oh, okay.
So the big grounds, country house grounds, like a country house, and then the tent was about 5 minutes away in the grounds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So not too far.
No. Sorry.
What were Prue and Paul like, and are you actually friends now?
No. They're okay actually. Well, Paul's a bit of a funny one. I think it's hard to work them out. I mean, Prue's lovely. She was quite friendly, but they have to distance themselves from the contestants anyway. So beyond what you see in the tent, we didn't really have much interaction with them. But Prue was definitely the more friendly out of the two. I think Paul kind of puts on a bit of an image, I think, that he has to uphold.
Did your family go with you to watch the filming?
Yeah, so it was just me and my 2 daughters and my dog.
Your dog.
Yeah.
And the dog. Again, this is one we were all wondering actually. Who eats all the baked goods at the end?
mainly the film crew.
Oh,
So the film crew, film production needs it, and I think a lot of the hotel staff, and we try it as well.
How many cameras and microphones were on you?
That's a good question. So there's probably, every contestant's got a camera on them, and there's numerous other cameras floating around the tent until we do something wrong, and then it's like you have probably about 5 cameras on you all at once, and that's just absolutely terrifying.
Are you still friends with everyone that you worked with?
Yeah, we keep in touch daily. I mean, I've been speaking. In fact, I was speaking to Laura this morning. So yeah.
What is like the application process like?
It's really long, quite hard actually. So the application itself takes a long time to fill out. There's a lot of questions, and they want to see evidence of what you bake. So you have to like submit photographs with the application. So that's quite a big deal just to fill that out. Then if you get through that, you've then got a telephone audition. It's like a technical test that you have to get through. Then there's a live audition. That's normally held in Bristol. We have to take up 2 bakes. Then there's a camera audition to make sure you're okay in front of a camera. Then there's then you have to go to London, and then you have to do a technical challenge in front of cameras and being interviewed at the same time. So that's quite terrifying. Then if you get through that, then there's a final interview that's also held in London. And then if you get through that, then you're on the show.
Gosh, that's
so it's a really big crowd. Apparently last year there was over 30,000 applicants.
Wow.
Yeah.
So were you surprised to have been chosen?
Yeah, I was really surprised. Yeah.
Did you practice a lot at home?
Yeah, loads, absolutely loads.
Good.
Because I mean, before I got out, I baked bread, but I didn't really bake cakes or biscuits or anything else. So I had to do a lot of practice. Yeah.
Yeah, panic practice.
Yeah,
Imagine.
But was it hard to practice during lockdown because there were shortages of certain ingredients?
It wasn't too bad. I mean, I've got quite a lot of stuff at home anyway. So, and the bake-off centres like enormous bags of flour and sugars, and so we did have. For me, it wasn't too much of a problem.
Most useful utensil in your opinion?
Oh, silicone spatula.
We all said that as well.
Do you still enjoy baking, or have you
I do. No, not at all. I probably bake most days actually.
Yeah.
Have you, since being on the Bake Off, have you noticed sort of an increase in followers on social media, or?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, before that, I had a small Instagram page for baking, which I didn't really. I think I only had like 50 or so followers, and I think today it's something like 45,000 or something.
Wow.
Yes, it's grown considerably.
Pretty big spike.
Yeah.
Do you think you'd do the show again?
Would I do it again? I don't know. I think in hindsight, yeah, I would. I'd do it completely differently this time. Yeah.
So what now for you then?
What now? That's a really good question. I don't know, to be honest. I think we'll just carry on baking and just see what happens.
And do you have any of your favourite or funny moments to share?
I think you've seen most of them on the TV.
Yeah. That's sort of all the questions we have.
But I think we wanted to sort of open it up to everyone else,
Yeah.
didn't we? So if anyone else has got any questions, then we can.
How long have you been doing Bake Off?
How what? How long?
Yeah, like how many years?
Oh, well, how long have I been baking? Or
Yes.
probably 4 years, Livy.
4 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
What was Matt Lucas and?
Oh, Matt and Noel, they were amazing, and they were really good. I mean, both of them are great people, and I mean, what you see with Matt and Noel is what they see off camera too. And I think they're just generally interesting people and just really, really friendly. Yeah, they were great.
Was there a lot of stuff on the cutting room floor?
Yeah, there was a lot of it that they couldn't repeat. They're amazing. Actually, really funny. In fact, the funniest stuff you wouldn't be able to repeat.
Marc, what about behind the scenes? Kind of, what did the girls get up to when you were there from 6 o'clock in the morning till half past 9 at night? And what did your dog, heaven forbid, get up to?
He got up to a lot of mischief.
Oh dear.
But yeah, the girls. So basically, they said they had chaperones to look after the girls, and they did like schoolwork, and activities, went for walks and just did stuff like that. And also the dog handler to look after all the dogs. And there was like a place called Dogtown where all the dogs kind of hang out. But Hamish, being Hamish, managed to escape, and he was going running through the hotel and managed to get into the kitchens and pinch food, and so he had to be tied up. He was allowed freedom in the Dogtown. He kept escaping.
What was it like on the Ruby Wax follow-up show?
Oh, you mean Joe Brand's show?
Joe Brand, not Ruby Wax. Joe Brand. Edit that out.
Yeah, that was great actually. I really enjoyed that. I mean, I think all the contestants were really nervous on going to go on that show, just because it's not like the tent. It's a proper TV studio with lots of big lights shining on you and kind of contestants like Jules Holland. I mean, I was really nervous about meeting Jules Holland, but Joe's just amazing. She's just so down to earth and just made everyone feel really comfortable. So I actually really enjoyed it in the end. It was good fun.
Would you recommend anybody else going on the show?
Yeah, I would
It
actually.
must be a certain type of person, or
No, not at all. I don't. It's hard to know what they're looking for. I mean, you need to be able to be a baker, of course, but I also think they're looking for a story behind somebody. And I think I'd recommend anyone to apply because you just don't know. I never thought I would get on, and I did. So it could happen. Yeah, definitely go for it.
Do you think the right person won?
Peter, yeah, for sure. We all knew Peter was going to win from week one. It was kind of obvious, really. It was unflappable, so yeah.
I think that was quite interesting watching the show, and I watched it because you were on it, Mark. I don't normally watch it. I watched it because you were on. And I thought, I don't like reality television programs because people aren't always very nice to each other. But it came across that how well you seemed to be getting on and how friendly and helpful you were. I mean, there were times when people were helping each other with the bakes and giving advice and asking each other were they all right and supporting each other. That looked genuine, presumably it was.
No, I think it is, and I think that's the nature of the Bake Off as well. It ultimately is a baking competition, but I think it's more about, it's just as much about the people and their lives and how everyone's kind of getting on. It's more of a feel-good program than a competition, really.
Obviously, the young people we're working with and the young people that you work with, Alex and Liv, that project's working really, really well. But with all the work that ReachOut does, we work with young people that suffer from anxiety and worry and stress, and as I keep telling them, that's a normal feeling to have.
Yeah, it is.
How did you overcome those feelings of anxiety and stress and nerves and worry when you were actually in front of the camera?
To me, it was a different type of anxiety. You get the anxiety that can consume you and make you feel really horrible. You don't have to face the world. This was more of a terrifying anxiety, and you just kind of walked into it and just accepted it. So I felt it was a very different anxiety to the day-to-day anxiety that can consume you and make you feel absolutely horrible about yourself. So I wouldn't, if you do suffer from anxiety or depression, I wouldn't let that put you off from applying for anything like that. I think it can help it rather than make it worse.
Do you think your experience of being a climber, where you've had to put yourself into, to my thoughts, some terrible stressful situations, I can't stand heights, where you climb and you've been in quite dangerous situations, did that help, do you think?
I think it does, and I think for sure, because I think when I used to climb and did put myself into some ridiculous situations where you have no choice, that you have to compose yourself and calm yourself and get on with it. I think that's probably instinctive in me, and that was probably what helped me get through the bake-off at the start, really. Just trying to have that kind of inner control and just accept it and get on with it.
If a publishing house came to you and offered you a book deal to write a cookbook, would you do it?
Yeah, I would actually, because I learned now that apparently they give you £50,000 up front.
Oh!
So yes, I would.
Have you kind of had any kind of repercussions or anything?
A pizza oven company has given me a pizza oven, which is quite nice. That's on its way. And I've had a few little bits and bobs, but no book offers yet anyway.
Nadia obviously went on, he's now a very successful book publisher and presenter. Any of the contestants this year likely to follow suit?
I don't know. I think apparently the opportunities are getting less, I think.
Yeah.
I think at the beginning, these opportunities were, because it's still quite new, I think there was a lot more opportunities out, but I think those kind of opportunities are few and far between now. So I could probably see Lottie getting something, and maybe Laura too. I thought she came across really well in front of the camera. And maybe Rowan. I thought he had a really good presence in front of the camera too. So I could see those three maybe moving into TV or presenting in some way.
Not for you, Marc?
No, not for me.
Well, thank you very much for coming
That's
today.
been a pleasure. Thank you.